So would you like to go first, Sherry?
Sure. Hi, everybody, and Happy New Year from my side as well. And thanks to Anna and Sam for having me here today. And yeah, I am, as Anna mentioned, that I'm Sherry. So my full name is Sherry List, and I'm working as Azure Developer Engagement Lead at Microsoft. And my daily job is mostly creating community, engaging with the developers in the community, and hear all of their thought, and then bringing back feedback. And just like Anna, I would also say that Almo is also a pretty important person in my life. Kind of that he also helped me to grow a lot. And I would say that Almo, you were my very first kind of mentor for the building the community, and thank you very much for that.
I'm really happy to listen to you because I have been working with community for a while already, and it's always great to have people that grow with the community. You contribute to their development. So I'm really proud of what you did actually. Not because you were already prepared for all this. It was kind of just nudging you a little bit. But this is great to hear this aloud. So thank you, Sam and Anna, for inviting me, for having me. My name is actually quite long because I'm from Spain, and there we have very long names, but everybody call me Almo, which is my acronym. So I have been working with community staff in the last 17 years, and the last 8 years working at Google Developer Relations, currently based in Zurich, in Switzerland. And my daily activities like a chaos, having meetings, discussing with people, trying to understand how all this world of the communities, developer communities are evolving. In the last 12 months, we have lived a really crazy situation, and one more time the community was able to face this and come up with something, an alternative, something to continue sharing and working with others, helping the people to learn about technology. So I'm really happy to be here, and this is me. Maybe we will know more in the conversation today.
And I see there's actually a lot of Spanish speakers in the chat. So if you have questions in Spanish, you can also ask them, and I'm pretty sure we'll be able to either translate them or reply to you in Spanish. So especially Sherry, whose Spanish skills are constantly improving. So
yeah. Cici.
That's as far as I get as well. Cici and hola.
Vale. Okay, so first question, and I think it's a good place to start when we're talking about how to build a community. Like we said in the chat, feel free to post your questions in the chat. We will put them up here so we can answer them. But I think a good place to start is by actually figuring out what is a developer community. So I'm not gonna pick anyone in specific to answer that. So I'll let you to reply at your own pace.
Maybe I can start about the kind of the very basic definition of the community, and we can build on top of that, because it's a pretty specific. Well, I would say that if I want to say what a community is from my word, I would say that it's a group of people that they have the same, they are together because of a specific topic that they have interest in, and then if we want to differentiate them from being only a group of people, is that we call it community when the communication is kind of that is at both sides. It's not only one way, that somebody is only giving to the community or getting. It should be the both sides. So in that case, we have a group of people that they can help each other but through through that topic that they have in center, and then then the community will be going. So there will be like a more conversation coming on and answers, so they all grew together. So that is how I define the community.
Actually, it's also a way to understand how these days people are connecting in order to find resources for their own interests. So it's through people, it's through learning, sharing. There is strong motivation. In some cases, there are always important pieces of the community drivers, specific person maybe contributing or facilitating the conversation. But I would like to highlight the kind of historical evolution, because in the 80s, there were a bunch of hackers using primitive network communication to solve questions and to solve quite specific problems in terms of technology. And then we saw how they were evolving with the popularization of the communication channel of the internet at the beginning of the 90s. We saw more and more how, let's say, not so specialized developers were connecting together to learn about many things. And actually, I think it's so important that, in particular, internet and the internet technologies, for a long time, the only place to learn about them was in the developers communities. So it's not just as a club. I think that the impact that this structure, this organization of people, is contributing a lot. I would say that these days it's almost impossible to learn many things in the area of software technologies if you are not in contact with developer communities. So it's not only events. For instance, GitHub is doing a great job facilitating contribution of development of software or even documentation. So if you connect people with a lot of tools and communication channels that we have these days, it's amazing what the people can do. So yeah, I think this is probably one of the biggest contribution of the technology for the development of the society. I used to say that we should ask for Peace Nobel Prize for Richard Stallman, because I think that the contribution with the open source technologies was so huge for the technologies that probably he deserved more than Bob Dylan, for instance, in terms of impact. But just a suggestion.
Okay.
All right, so we've talked about what communities are, but we got a question from James in the chat, and that's he's curious to learn more about how other communities have adapted during the COVID times, because we are living in a special time and we're not having communities as we used to. So maybe you can all talk about how you've adapted to these COVID times.
Maybe I can start by saying that what I noticed, I can mostly talk about Denmark, maybe, since I'm based in Copenhagen, so I'm going to mostly talk about here. So when the COVID happened, in the very beginning, there was a huge silence, because people were mostly thinking about it that, okay, let's postpone everything. We're going to get over it, and then everything will be back to normal. And Anna, actually, we were together in my very, very last in-person event ever. You were here in Copenhagen that we had the hackathon for International Women's Day. So after that, it was silence for a few months, and then we had, actually, for us, I'm running a conference which is called ngVikings, where we are multiple Angular communities through the Nordic countries. We joined together and we are running these ngVikings together. And for us, it is always the biggest event of the year, to be honest, because and we had that as well, and we didn't know what to do. Should we cancel it again? But the momentum is there, so we want to get connected to the people. So I would say that us, like many other people, we try to reinvent ourselves, because when you're belonging to a community, when something is part of your identity, you will try everything to actually to keep it going. And that's the beauty and magic of the community, that it brings all of these people, and you all of a sudden try to come up with a very creative ways. So we have started to reinvent ourselves and come with a totally different format online. But I would say that the issue is that many people try to do that. And then at the end, we ended up having a lot of events. That ngVikings was, for us, was biggest event that we could ever have. All of a sudden, from 400 people, we started having 3,000-4,000 people. And we just say that, wow, so actually this pandemic brings us more opportunity. But then too many opportunity, screen fatty, you don't know what to do, you're sitting in front of your laptop, then it's going there. So what I can see is that, again, most of the communities, they are in the phase of reinventing themselves again. Because yes, we are here, but we have to make it everything to be adjusted in this situation, because yeah, we don't know for how long we're going to be here.
In my case, for me, it was a surprise to realize how flexible are the community. First of all, many of them reinvent themselves really fast, moving activities to online. This was Sarah just said. But for instance, I realized also that they understood that the community can help in many different ways. For instance, I saw many groups just having coffee online just to heal themselves. So it was not technical conversation. It was not technical event. It was just, okay, everybody's struggling with this situation. Let's have 20 minutes and talk about anything. We don't really care about technology in this conversation. It's more about how you are, how you feel, and trying to deal with this situation. The second interesting effect is that thousands of people realize the power that they have in their connection, in their knowledge, because they quickly get back to the society and contribute back to the society, helping, for instance, professors to put in place online learning system, helping students to, understand how to use these technologies. And I saw many of those communities that probably they didn't see the value of doing so many events, basically doing more practical things, hacking for good, you wish, helping, again, students, teachers, even from the health point of view, there were many of them launching, dashboard about the pandemic, these kind of things. And that was really something that it was different compared with other situations. And the third important thing is that they realize also this kind of infinite number of events, and they realize very soon that what we value the most in the events is not the content itself, is when we interact in person, in the corridor, when we have a conversation in the, in the cafeteria, or after the event, having some beers together. So again, they introduce online activities, but more focus on conversation, and trying to understand the personal aspect of many of their developers. At the same time, I also saw how they were introducing new interaction models. So I realized there were many communities, developing software together, or maybe creating documentation together, thanks to GitHub and those kind of tools. So in general, events were kind of, it was a resource that was there. Many people still doing that. But I think that very, very fast they understood that there were many more things to do and many more options to put in place. And currently, you can be part of many of those initiatives. And well, the situation is still more or less the same, but I think that the community start to think that they can contribute in many more things, in many more ways than just events.
Sure.
I'm gonna also reply to this, as I'm putting on my 3 different hats: an organizer hat, speaker's hat, and DevRel hat. So as I should probably buy them, right? I should put them on. So as an organizer of ngSpain, when October came around, what we did, we waited until about July to see how the pandemic was going to evolve. And around August, September, that's when we decided not to host ngSpain because there was an overwhelming amount of conferences online already. And like Sherry rightfully mentioned, people are getting tired of being on the computer all days, and we couldn't find a good replacement of having that in-person feeling, of that networking feeling, and so forth. So it was tough as an organizer. As a speaker, it's also tough. It's like speaking. I know that you're all there now. About 20 of you are watching this right now, but I can't see you. And I like to see you on the chat. That's great. I love it when you interact. That really helps. But it's not the same. And it's overwhelmingly tiring to be speaking to a camera all day long. And also, you just don't get that feedback. So you don't really know if you're on track or not. So as a speaker, it's also very tough. I would even say tougher than being on stage, but that's a personal opinion. I know some people who much prefer it, but yeah. And like Debbie's saying, because you don't even know if we're actually listening or not. No, I have no idea if you're listening, Debbie. I hope you are there. And then as DevRel, when I joined Auth0, I joined in February, and the pandemic began in March. So my job completely changed in a matter of a month. And oh, James is listening too. That's nice. Yeah, almost 1 year. I'm almost 1 year at Auth0. No idea how that happened, but it happened. And it was really tough as DevRel, but the good thing is that I have to be totally honest here, and I have the most amazing team in the world. And that just made it so much better. And we managed to just quickly go online and try to be part and make communities happen, like Avocado Labs. That kind of started with the pandemic too. But okay, let's get with the next question. What is it, Sam? Is it?
Maybe
Eddie?
it's great to point out that not only did actual existing communities adapt, but also new communities got launched. Like Avocado Labs, for example. We didn't exist before this pandemic, and we just felt that there was something missing, so we just launched Avocado Labs as an online community, which is something else.
Yeah. And
Actually,
we're evolving with Avocado Labs, so we're going to be experimenting a lot this year. So give us as much feedback as you like. Whatever you don't like about it, tell us. What you do, also tell us.
Actually, I was going to say that this is really interesting experience because most of the communities, they don't usually have a proper online strategy or activity. And now, because there is no alternative way, all of them are developing this alternative way to connect. And hopefully when we were back to the, let's say, normality again, all of this is going here to stay. So we are going to be more effective in the way that we communicate with other developers using in person, but also taking advantage of the online communication, which is great, I think.
I want to mention one thing here, because we're talking about that creating new community, but also helping the others to reinvent themselves as well. What I saw here around me was also that, I mean, when we had those absolute silence here in Denmark, I mean, for me, many of you might know that community is my home. So I wanted to have my people. So that's why that I try to talk to people that let's go online. And everybody said that we don't know what is the best way to do it and then how to do it, and it's going to be good. And then I said that, okay, I will discover it. So I started to experiment a lot of different things. And then what I did, and I was not only one, many other people did the same thing with me, because we wanted to have those things up and running. So when I discovered the thing, so I went to the other multiple different kind of community. I mean, even from UK GDG Reading to for example, to the local Azure user group in Denmark. So you say that if you want to go online, I can help you. So them to be there to kind of that to have that going. And I have also one of my I know that one of my my good colleague Henk from Netherlands, he also does the same thing. So he goes around and then tell people, do you want to go online? You don't know, I really like I like your community, so let's have it online. So I really love to see that all of these things happening through the community, that helping each other to move forward. And yeah, because at the end we are in this together. So
Yeah, and I was pretty negative when I just spoke, but I do want to say there are some positive things that have come out of this. And I think one of the most positive things is that there are people all over the world that could never go to meetups or conferences before. But now, thanks to that everything is online, they can. And this is just so amazing and so inclusive. They're seeing content that they would normally not be able to see.
Yes.
So this is something really amazing.
Almo, you remember we had a lot of conversation about ngVikings because you were involved from the beginning to helping us to make it happen. So my dream was to have ngVikings for free for everyone, and I could finally do it.
Finally happens. That's great. I also have an amazing story. Is last year we ran also some activities presenting technology in Portugal. And suddenly, because everything was online, we thought, why not we contact communities in Brazil or the Portuguese-speaking countries in Africa? And it was a huge success because we were presenting information in Portuguese, local language, and connecting with many more people. And something that we couldn't imagine, because something similar was done the year before, 2019, without pandemia. And basically it was a kind of roadshow where you visit in some places. It was nice. We have a lot of people, but this year was really massive in terms of participation because we were able to connect people across the country, across the continent. So it was a really nice experience because you can see how that was always there. I mean, there was always the chance to do this kind of things, but for the first time we consider and we did it, which is again when we were back to the normality. I think this is going to be something that we will continue doing and take the advantage of this online interaction.
I love how this conversation is going and everybody's just talking about what the previous person is saying and just picking up on what they're saying. It's how we're envisioning these conversations to go. But we did get another question in the chat some time ago from Eddie. So Eddie, I know you're listening and multitasking. We're going to talk about your question, and that is, what do you think about communities collaborating together?
I have something to say regarding this. I think that Sherry mentioned before that she is helping communities no matter who they are. And I used to say something because I have been working with communities, in contact with many other, let's say, developer relation teams. So I used to say that communities are here to collaborate. Companies can compete. It's okay. You have to work to produce nice products, but we as a community are here to collaborate. So we shouldn't care about, if people, complain about different technologies or programming language or whatever. I think that everybody can help. And sometimes you might have audiences interested in topics that are important for the community. So I see this is great, and we should do more, actually. We need to foster this cross-community collaboration. I think this is important. And actually, for instance, there are, in many cities, there are some initiatives to connect all of the communities. So you have an umbrella where you can find different communities, no matter if the topic is connected with yours or not. So at the end, it's a way to tell people, okay, these are all the communities of the city. You are interested in all those topics. Here, you have all of the contacts, the channels to attend their talks. So I think this is probably the next step, the next level in collaboration in developer relation, trying to find the ways to take the most from this opportunity and facilitate the collaboration among communities.
Yeah. Do you want to go, Sherry?
No, I just wanted to say that that is what I loved about the community from the beginning, and that's how we are started ngVikings, and then later on, with the other user groups in Denmark, we created the Copenhagen community as well, and then we are. I mean, the thing is that when you want to do something, you can always find a reason to do it, and I'm looking at you. That's how we also come up with a lot of different initiatives, because at the end is that to help each other, And I mean, technology, it's always changing. But the thing is that the whole vibe, the whole kind of that the magic of the community is always there. And I mean, I really encourage everybody who's listening here that if you're a community leader, look around and find for opportunity. I'm pretty sure you can actually leverage your idea through the community. I remember that once I gave a talk, and I finished it with a sentence that idea grows when better when they are shared. And then when you share your idea with the community, you all of a sudden, from one person, you ended up having 100 people around you, and you can do it definitely better with 100 people.
Definitely. And like, I think collaboration is something really beautiful. And of course, there can be competition between companies, like Animal said, but even so, like Sherry and me have joined forces again. We're going to be hosting an event in March, to be announced. And then Sam jumped on board and other people jumped on board. And it's just a whole bunch of communities getting together. Because we're also using our work time to do it, the companies are on board too. So it can also be collaboration. Yeah. And also I started ngSpain because of ngVikings. Like Sherry has been such a big inspiration to me in so many different ways as well. But really great to have these two people on here to talk about community, because they are the community experts.
I saw some chatter on the Slack that most days, especially with these virtual events, it's either a presentation style where you have a speaker presenting to an audience, or there's this panel conversations where there's a few people which get to speak, but the audience really does not have the feeling of connecting to each other like they used to do on a meetup where you share a slice of pizza or a beer. Do you have any clever ideas or fun ideas on how we could get that feeling of these little group conversations before and after a meetup, but then in a virtual way?
I will wait for you, Alma, to answer, because this is very tough.
It's a really difficult question. Yeah.
Actually, there are plenty of new tools allowing this kind of interaction. We were using Remo, which is a new platform where you can have different groups of conversation. But this is only just an example. There are thousands of them, probably. So I really think that this is something that we need to consider. So probably running shorter presentation, trying to foster more bidirectional communication. And this kind of platform are critical here. You don't have to use a specific platform. You can also rely on a standard, communication channel, but you have to consider from the very beginning if you want to have this kind of a table of conversation prepared for that and allow people to join in this. So clearly, this is something that the community value a lot. The participants in the conference value a lot. And again, I have been observing these new tools, this new proposal since mid-summer or something like that. So the industry really answered really quickly to the need of this kind of solution. And now you can have many of them. And actually, they are quite competitive in terms of functionality and prices and this kind of thing. So I think this is a problem already solved.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of the toughest things to kind of transfer online, right? Because that kind of human touch just isn't there. And I've been at many conferences also as a sponsor, and we've tried so hard to kind of, we've even done a happy hour, which Sherry was on, and that worked quite fun. We ended up doing karaoke and fun and games. But I can imagine that not always working in every setting. You have to know the people before that can happen, right? So I think another good approach is to like do a game together, or maybe an escape room together, or something where you kind of have to work together, but on something fun. And maybe that's a good solution. But again, if you have any ideas that you would like to try out on Avocado Labs, we will definitely try it out.
Game was a good one that you brought it, because I remembered we had that game, that think of a word in your own language. That was pretty fun. I mean, the karaoke, I agree that you definitely want to do it with the people that you really know. Especially if it's going to be online, so that is a kind of a for that's a game for a smaller group. But in general, I guess maybe exactly like everything else, right now we are comparing all the experiences with the in-person one. That's why that, in my opinion, that doesn't matter how much the technology helping us, how much we try to be creative. At the end, if we want to be fully honest, we cannot create the same experience, unfortunately. But maybe we should start to think differently and try to come up with different ways of definition of the fun after the game. Or what I really like, I remember, Anna, that we were at that Chrome Dev Summit. The experience that we had there, it was very fun, but it was too fun that we didn't. I mean, I'm not speaking from you, Anna, but I didn't listen to any of the sessions.
Yeah.
So it was a kind of that, like the whole idea of that going and collecting points and then changing your swag, changing your avatar. And I really wanted to have that angular shield. So so it took me ages to realize that how I get it. So these are actually the collaborative ways to kind of to think about it. It's going to be fun, but again, it's totally different experience. So it's not going to kind of that, even though that Anna, we sat together on a sofa trying to drink a coffee together, it still, you cannot compare it with the in-person one. No. But still it was fun. So yes, yeah. I guess we should think a little bit different. And I wanted to also mention that I had such a conversation with one of my friends recently about the whole experience of being online. She mentioned that maybe it is not I mean, it's something good that we are still in this situation, because at the end, after some time, we can unlock this issue of having a good online experience. So once we are after this situation, we can combine it together to have a better hybrid situation later on. Because currently, with what we are doing right now in this level, if we go back to the normal days, when we are going to have a conference, of course, we are going to have a stream it online, but then that will be there. So me sitting at home, I feel lonely again. So I won't feel like that I'm going to be part of the conference. But if we try to a bit harder, maybe at some point we can kind of that fix the situation.
Actually, I will let you add here that it's true what you said. I feel more like a kind of a, in some cases, personal preferences, because I saw really amazing setup in Twitch. And there are a lot of people using Twitch with really nice experiences. So probably we need to learn more about this, probably have the proper setup. But I really enjoy how many developers are moving to Twitch, which is, let's say, more powerful platform with many interaction ways to connect with the audience. So at some point, I think that, as you said, we will combine. And I think this kind of interaction could be a good approach. Again, I think that Twitch is something to pay attention, because we are going to see more and more how developers are moving their content there.
We are actually streaming to Twitch. So yeah, it is a very great platform. I see there's a lot more comments in the chat than on other platforms, and yeah, more of a developer audience, I find. Twitch for the win, says James. Okay, Sam, did you catch any last questions we might have?
I should unmute myself first. I didn't see any other questions come in. There was a lot of chatter on some of the tools that are coming out these days to kind of fill this void that we're feeling about interacting with each other online. But I think we just had a very nice discussion about that. James did ask at the beginning of this episode when we all think that we would go back to in-person events. So maybe we can close with this one.
We should do bids. I'm joking.
Yeah. Let's hold
I'm curious.
Well, trying to be positive, I would say soon, but maybe not that sooner. So if we think that we all were traveling internationally in many different communities and audiences, probably it's going to be difficult to have events at the international level before the end of this year. Probably we will see sooner how at the country level there are many more things. Yeah, I hope that I'm wrong, but it might be difficult to have international event before the end of the year.
I would say that I want to be very positive, but what I'm afraid of, to be honest, is that in a country level, of course, that depending on the different countries and cases and so on, yeah, hopefully we're going to have more of event starting from a smaller and then grow. But what I'm not sure about it, that how people would feel comfortable being there, because I recall it that in one of the very last event that we were, I mean, we had hand sanitizer, and then people just all the time just cleaning their hand without even touching everywhere, just because they look at someone. So we most probably we kind of that, I don't know, I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like that we all develop some sort of a scare that it would take some time for many people that to feel comfortable surrounding by a lot of people that they don't know, because now we got used to kind of that being in a smaller bubble, way smaller bubble, and even go outside of that. If I go to an office, I for whatever reason I feel so bad, and I'm trying to stay at home and see that if I develop any symptom or so I guess it will take some time, in my opinion, that we feel fully comfortable being surrounded by people.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I feel like, especially here in Spain, you always have to wear your mask, right? I cannot imagine walking down the street now and not seeing people in masks. It's just going to be so weird. And I do believe that, I do hope that by the end of the year, we can start small, like small meetups, more local things. And then hopefully by beginning, mid of next year, we can start seeing conferences again. And I hope that's not being optimistic. I hope that's being pessimistic. What about you, Sam?
I think I share the same feeling as you all, that we first will start with the local communities, local meetups, which will happen in person, and then gradually move on to the international conferences as soon as the situation improves for all of us. So, yep, I have no idea when that will be. I hope by fall, so September, October, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, well, thank you both so much for being here today. It's always a pleasure to have you two. And thank you all for being here today.